Hi, my name's Robin Weeks. I'm the course mentor for Science and Spirituality. Brand new course, this being taught for the first time, so you guys are the guinea pigs, and we're going to have a good time, I hope, with it. I wanted to say a few words about the course as a whole and how it's going to work, what's the basic premise of the course. And the basic premise is that over the last, say, 400 years, we have evolved a worldview that is based on the natural sciences. And that worldview that we hold as a society, as a culture, may not be the ideal worldview to hold. And what are the assumptions that worldview is based on? How did we get here? And it's a worldview as opposed to what? What would be another worldview that you might have? And are there sort of really good reasons for holding another worldview? And in this particular course, can we sort of progress through understanding the roots of the current worldview of Western culture to a point where we sort of see beyond it, where we transcend it and include it, to have a worldview that really incorporates science and its truths in a much larger truth. And so that's what the course is about, really. And from my point of view, I'm going to make another video about my own history so you know who you're dealing with. But I was a working scientist for many, many years, and I'm now a recovering scientist. But my perception was that has been that I certainly had a strong worldview as a scientist, but that worldview is all-pervasive in our society. So, such that we base our decisions, all of our societal decisions are to a large extent based on a scientific worldview, such as our education systems, how do we teach, our healthcare systems, most of what we do looks to science as the authority, and the scientific method as the authority. And so it became a great interest to me to look at how we might recover from that. Since I'm a recovering scientist, well, how do we as a society recover from this scientific worldview? So the current course starts out by looking at what our worldview is. And that's our individual worldview and our collective worldview. And how is that being influenced by science? And if we're a spiritually inclined person, then how has science impacted our spirituality? Does it contribute to it, or does it detract from it? Has it caused doubts about spirituality where we wouldn't have had them before, or actually does it contribute to wonder and awe? Can it contribute to wonder and awe such that it might enhance our spirituality? And then, having looked at what our worldview is, we look at what the history of that worldview is. How did we get this worldview? Where did it start? What was happening? What are the reasons why we would hold this worldview? Other than it being, say, a correct worldview. Many scientists would say, well, this is the worldview that you should have. It's correct. It's the way the world is. And but when you look at the history of our worldview, you see that isn't actually the case, that our worldview has evolved based on historical factors and on assumptions that were made early in the process that are not scientifically verifiable. So science then has a metaphysical basis. So we're going to look at that history and what we might have thrown out in the process of having the scientific revolution. And then we want to look at, what is science saying about reality currently? What's the new creation story? What's modern science, quantum physics, relativity? What does that say about reality? Does that open the door for spirituality? Or is it does it close the door for spirituality? Does that contribute in any way to modern science? And then we're going to progress past that into the world of mystery. So, and that's really as an introduction to an entirely other kind of worldview that would come from the mystical traditions. And when you get into science in depth, when you look at a science in a particular way, you can see science as a revealer of mystery. It doesn't dispel mystery, even though it gives that the impression that it does. It actually deepens the mystery. And therefore, science can actually be a contributor to spirituality, and we'll be going through this process. And so what is an alternative worldview that really is based on us not knowing in a concrete way, or knowing in a very different way? And so we'll go into the mystical experience, the great chain of being, which is all of the other world's traditions have a belief system that fit it within a great chain of being, really. And then we'll try and progress to a point where we kind of reconnect at the end of the course into what I call a participatory worldview that incorporates science actually within spirituality. It's not really unifying science and spirituality. It's being able to see science within the context of spirituality. And I think that's the ultimate way forward. But you will decide what your new worldview is. You will decide how to integrate science within your spirituality after this course. And hopefully at the end of the course, we'll all express a new worldview that's sort of come out of looking at how we got here in our current view and all of the aspects that we look at. So that's an introduction to the course. I'd hoped to do this video outside, because one of the reasons being because all of this is tied up very closely with our relationship with the natural world. Our relationship with the universe, our relationship with nature has been greatly impacted by science. And so for me personally at least, the route to unification or to a new way is to look deeply in all respects at our relationship with the natural world. So future videos, when it's sunny out and not raining in Sedona, we'll be outside. I'm hoping to make at least one video a week, so that you get to know me and get personal contact. And then we'll move forward that way. And the next video I'm going to make is about my own sort of personal experience with science and spirituality, as by way of introduction to you. And perhaps tomorrow there'll be sun. I think there's sun forecast, and that one can be outside, because I far prefer making videos outside. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the first week's reading, and looking forward to the journey with everyone. And see you in the next video.